calling all forward-thinking estheticians. It's time to redefine the art of skincare and embrace a revolutionary approach that begins with your client's skin cell health. I'm pharmacist Ben Fuchs, welcoming you to Truth Treatment Systems, where beauty begins at the cell. We believe you're not just a beauty professional, you are a healthcare professional. You want to make a positive difference and you want to make a good living, and we will help you do both. We're here to support your out-of-the-box thinking and empower you to question traditional products, outdated formulations, and old-school ingredients. Imagine a world where solutions to the skin's enigmatic conditions lie just beyond the horizon. At Truth, we're not just a skincare brand, we're a movement that encourages you to explore better solutions and find that aha moment that changes the game. You are an artist and a healer of the skin, and we're here to provide the canvas and the tools for you to create tailored protocols, leaving generic ones in the past. Sign up now at truthtreatmentspro.com and receive 2 complimentary mineral-rich electrolyte sheet masks. That's truthtreatmentspro.com, where healthy skin is beautiful skin.
This podcast is sponsored by LAMPROBE. LAMPROBE is a popular aesthetic tool that enables skincare practitioners to rapidly treat a wide variety of common minor skin irregularities, or MSI. Red MSI treated by LAMPROBE include dilated capillaries and cherry angiomas, yellow MSI, cholesterol deposits and sebaceous hyperplasia, and brown MSI treated include skin tags and more. LAMPROBE MSI treatments are non-invasive and deliver immediate results. LAMPROBE can empower your skin practice with these new and highly in-demand services. For more information, visit lamprobe.com. That's LAMPROBE.com. And follow LAMPROBE on social media at LAMPROBE.
Hello and welcome to ASCP and the Rogue Pharmacist with Benjamin Knight Fuchs. In each episode, we will explore how internal and external factors can impact the skin. I'm Maggie Stasek, ASCP's Program Director, and joining me is Ben Fuchs, skincare formulator and pharmacist. Hey, Ben.
Hey, Maggie.
We're talking today about why minerals matter. Whether you are a skincare enthusiast or simply curious about the science behind healthy skin, this episode is for you. To kick things off, can you explain, Ben, why minerals are so vital for skin health and how they impact our skincare routines?
Wow, that was great. Why minerals matter.
Yeah.
You like that, huh? Well, minerals are matter. That's great because matter, the foundation of matter, is what we call minerals. In the world of nutrition, minerals are the most confusing subject, even for nutritionists to understand. And that's because there's different forms that minerals take. Really, the word mineral, it's kind of a misnomer, because what we're really talking about when it comes to nutrition is atoms. When atoms are squished together, they form rocks, which are basically what people think of when they think of minerals. But in the body, there's no rocks, with some exceptions, like the skeletal system and the teeth, and those are really minerals. But all the chemistry in the body that we assume or we call mineral-based are really about atoms. And that's really confusing because atoms are labile. They change. And this is what makes minerals so hard to understand. First of all, they're not really minerals. They're atoms. And atoms are really, there's no such thing as an atom. They're just electrical energy. And we call them atoms. What we call an atom, this is kind of bizarre, is 99.999999999% empty space. So how do we figure that? If everything's made of atoms, how can 99.99999% be empty space? Well, there's a problem there, right? Because you're mostly empty space. If you took all of the matter of all the human beings on planet Earth and squished it together, the solid matter, it would maybe fill a thimble, right?
Yeah.
The rest of us is just energy. It's just empty space. So all of this creates confusion in trying to understand what minerals are and what they do. I refer to them, I technically call them as atoms, and they're on the periodic table. If you've ever seen the periodic table, it's got a box of different atoms, and that's really what's running the show in the body. Those are the foundations of everything. They build everything, and they come in through foods, and if you're supplementing, they also come in through supplements. In terms of how they affect the skin, from a topical perspective, there's not really much you can do with ordinary minerals because minerals are big, and they're going to sit on the surface of the skin. The classic example is zinc. And we know that people don't even want to use zinc on their skin. Why? Because it makes your skin white, because it sits on the surface of the skin. Of course, we know that the surface effects of zinc are great for the sun, and this is why I love using zinc topically as a sun protectant, but that's not going to help your chemistry. Another mineral that's used topically is selenium. Likewise, like with zinc, that doesn't penetrate either, but selenium's got some really interesting properties from a topical perspective. It has a calming effect on the skin. It can support exfoliation, and that's why it's used to treat dandruff and psoriasis. Another really fascinating mineral that's great for the skin but doesn't really penetrate is silica. In fact, these are probably the three most important topical minerals, and none of them will get through the stratum corneum. Silica, zinc, and selenium. Now, I love zinc for acne topically because topically you can do some wonderful things with zinc, with topical zinc for acne. In fact, it's one of the few topical ingredients that will actually address acne at the causal level, although there are other ingredients like retinoids and salicylates that you can use. But topical zinc can be used as well. Topical selenium, as I said, for selenium. And the silica, as wonderful as it is and as important as it is for connective tissue and for healing, isn't going to really do much on the stratum corneum. So there's not much you can do with rock. I call them rock minerals. These minerals that are big topically, with some exceptions like with selenium and zinc, and not really with silica, mostly with selenium and zinc. However, there's another type of mineral, or what's called a mineral, but it's really an atom. And this is powerful stuff. And this is the stuff that's in veggies and in fruits. And this is the reason why you want to eat your veggies and eat your fruits and your grains and your beans and all the phytonutrients that you're supposed to get from fruits and vegetables and grains and beans, etc. And this is a very, 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 very specialized form of what's called a mineral, but really is not a mineral. You see, and I think we may have talked about this before. Seems like it's familiar, but repetition is reinforcement. The Earth is just like the moon. If you go into the Earth, the core of the Earth, the center of the Earth, you'll find the moon in the sense that it's all rock. And there's no life on the rock. There's no life on the moon. There's no life in the center of the Earth or the core of the Earth. But the Earth is different from the moon because we do have life. We got trees and we got animals. We got all kinds of stuff. How is it that we have life on the Earth or on the moon, on the Earth, but not on the moon? Well, it turns out that on the Earth, you have about 6 to 12 inches or maybe 18 inches of something on top of the moon-like core. What is that stuff that's on top of the Earth that gives rise to everything? Soil. So what exactly is soil that allows it to create a fauna and animals and all of the wonderful things that we see on the Earth that are not on the moon? Well, it turns out on the top of this core in the center of the Earth, there are microbes, bacteria and fungi, and these microbes, they call them lithotropes. Litho means stone, trope means eating. And these lithotropes, these stone eaters, they eat the rock. They eat this core of the Earth that is just like the moon. And as they're eating it and digesting it, they're secreting out long strings of atoms. And this rock is like squished. Rock's dead because everything's squished. It's like if you're on a subway or on a bus, or if you go to DIA. I don't know if you've been to DIA lately, but they have these trains in DIA, and it's like you're like squished in. You can't even move. I don't know what they're thinking. People with their suitcases and everybody's all tight and they can't move, right? But as soon as a few people leave, they spread out. Well, it's the same thing with these rocks. These lithotropes can eat the rocks and secrete out long strings of atoms. And instead of this rock that's got all the atomic material squished together and it can't do anything, now you have individual atoms. And these individual atoms are now reactive. And instead of being like a rock that can't do anything, now you have reactive atoms. You've turned the rock into a living string of atoms. And this living string of electrically active atoms now can react with water. And that's the secret. See, if I take a rock and I put it in my bottle of water here, it's going to sink to the bottom. Nothing's going to happen. But once a lithotrope has processed this rock and created long strings of atoms, and I put it in my water, it will now dissolve. And that creates a completely different substance. Now, instead of an inert, dead rock, you have an electrically active string of atoms. And because the string of atoms is electrified, and it can interact with water and conduct electrical charges, it also generates magnetism. because wherever you have electricity, you have magnetism. That's why they call it electromagnetism, right? So via the action of the lithotropes, dead rock has been turned into electromagnetic atoms. And these electromagnetic atoms can now pull in amino acids and fatty acids and vitamins and create these nutritional complexes that can create life. And in fact, biologists now believe that life began in these polyelectrolyte, they call them poly, meaning many, electrolyte, meaning they dissolve in water, these polyelectrolyte atoms that have attracted in moisture and created something called clays. And these clays can now suck in vitamins and aminos and create these entire life-giving complexes. And biologists believe that this is how life began. So what does all this have to do with the skin? Well, it turns out these polyelectrolyte substances that can pull in vitamins, minerals, and amino acids are incredibly valuable skin care ingredients. Number one, they can pull in other active ingredients. And they act as magnetic penetrants that can pull active ingredients from skincare products through the stratum corneum into the basal layer, even into the cells. And these are electromagnetic. They can actually act as transdermal penetrants for active ingredients. But it's much even better than that because these polyelectrolytes are electrically active. So they can facilitate the movement of electrical energy in the skin and in cells themselves. And in fact, they can revivify cells. They can bring cells to life. Cells that are sleepy or not functioning as appropriately as they should can be reanimated and revivified via the electrical energy of these polyelectrolyte atoms that can be applied topically. But it's even better than that because these polyelectrolytes pull in oxygen. And oxygen is, if not the most important, it's one of the most important elements in the skin. So you can oxygenate the skin and you can oxygenate cells themselves. Remember, you're getting not only activity on the skin, but also in the cells. It's even better than that because these polyelectrolytes are among nature's best antioxidants. They both pull in oxygen and they act as antioxidants as well. But it's even better than that because these polyelectrolytes can pull water in to the skin. So they can hydrate the tissue. And remember, they're going into the cell also, so they can hydrate the cell. And much of the cell's behavior is dependent on efficient or effective or adequate hydration of the cell. These polyelectrolyte minerals can hydrate the cell. They're anti-inflammatory. They're wound healing. So they can be used for people who have broken skin, for people who have burns, for people who have dermatitises. And on top of everything else, they can support the delivery of other nutrients. We call these polyelectrolytes fulvic minerals, which you've heard the term, I'm sure, and they're found everywhere in nature, particularly in the soil, but also in the sea, in mountains, and also there are forms, not exactly fulvic minerals, but there are forms in the ocean as well that have electrical properties. And when they are combined with all of the vitamins, minerals, and phytonutrients in the soil, they're referred to as fulvic acids. And because they have a low pH. So fulvic acids, fulvic minerals, polyelectrolytes are not only incredibly valuable for the skin topically, but they're also important internally because the same oxygenating, antioxidant, hydrating, revivifying, reanimating, electrifying benefits that you get topically when you apply on the skin occur internally as well. And this makes them incredibly valuable nutritional supplements. Also, it's why you want to be eating your vegetables because vegetables and fruits and things that grow out of the soil are nature's richest sources of these fulvic minerals. So you have macro minerals, the large minerals, the silica and the selenium and the zinc, which have some topical properties. But the most important way to introduce minerals, if you will, into the body is through fruits and vegetables, produce, beans, grains, any natural food that hasn't been processed, too heavily processed, as well as through supplements. And we have, at Truth, one of our most important products is our fulvic mineral supplements. I use them liberally in my topical products as well. Also, the silica that we just talked about, which is really big and very important, these polyelectrolytes dissolve silica to make it more readily available for the connective tissue. So in addition to their own benefits, they help support the activity of silica for wound healing and bone building and healthier connective tissue for anti-wrinkles and anti-aging.
That concludes our show for today, and we thank you for listening. But if you just can't get enough of Ben Fuchs, the ASCP's Rogue Pharmacist, you can find him at truthtreatments.com. For more information on this episode, or for ways to connect with Ben Fuchs, or to learn more about ASCP, check out the show notes.